I was thinking a little bit ago about which Jonas brother is my favorite. Part of me wants to say that it's Kevin, just because I don't know if Kevin is anybody's favorite Jonas brother. So I feel like I want to help, but I just can't do it. I think he tries too hard. I think he's trying to make up for the fact that he's Kevin. He's not one of the other two. When I say the next thing I'm about to say, I'll have, by process of elimination, told you who it is. Joe's too much. I can't take it. That DNCE business. It's a fine song. What's it called? Something by the Ocean. Not Sex by the Ocean, is it? Anyway, Cake by the Ocean, Cake by the Water, whatever. It's fine. But something, and I love the fact that he's with a Stark. I think that's great. But yeah, I think Nick's my favorite Jonas brother, which feels super scandalous. I know Nick's the reason the Jonas Brothers first broke up. By his own admission, he's the reason they disbanded, as it were. But maybe he's the reason they got back together, right? I don't know. I was listening to a song of his called Chains. I really like that song. I really do. And I think he toured with Demi Lovato. Anyway, so I don't know. Who's your favorite Jonas brother? And it's not Kevin, is it? My name's Steven, and this is Get Tucked, a Don't Trust This Man podcast. There's been a lot of talk in my world, sort of people at work, frankly, actually mostly people at work, but other folks in my life. And I've been thinking a lot about the idea of value. Been a lot of talk about the value someone brings, or the value someone feels, or being recognized for the value that they represent, or whatever, being valued as a person or as an employee. And it got me thinking about it from the perspective of, I guess, from a more existential perspective. In other words, inside the context of a job, there are moments when the value you bring, in some ways, isn't even really about you. It's kind of about the job. So here, for example, here's what I mean to say. If I was hired, what's something that I would do a really, really bad job at, but I would try. Let's say I was hired for a sales position. I don't think of myself as being particularly well built for sales. And so it's possible. Let's pretend that's true. Let's pretend I'm no good at sales and I'm hired for sales. And over the course of the first 6 months in this new position, I sell 0 of the things. Well, I'm in that case clearly and quantifiably not providing or not adding value to my role or to my company, because I was hired to do a thing and I'm not doing it. That does not mean that I'm not valuable. It doesn't mean that the company may not even value me because of other things that I do. But the thing I was hired to do, I'm not. So I'm not providing value in that way. So there's a very specific vocational context where you can use the idea of value and talk about not providing value and it not be really denigrating to a person at all. What's interesting is these conversations around my workplace and with people in my life here of late is that the two have kind of touched each other in a sense. They've kind of been related, that this notion of not being recognized as having provided value or having value has really sort of gone a bit deeper. And it got me thinking about that struggle we all have. Because the truth is, we all want to be worth something. We want to have worth and have value. We want to mean something and matter in some way. We want to be affirmed, right? And so all of us have developed skills and we've developed ways by which we think we are meant to garner for ourselves affirmation, to prove ourselves to be valuable to those around us, whether it be at work, in our homes, the people in our lives. And I guess the main thing I really want to say and kind of highlight is, what would it look like for all of us if we started from a place of believing and understanding that we are worthy, we have worth, before we really do anything. I would say it this way: the matter of our worth is a settled matter. We know we have value. In my opinion, we know we have value because we belong to God. We are God's children. I was thinking about this in the context of the evangelical landscape. So bear with me for a minute. I'm going to try to soapbox, but in a really kind of logical and calm way. In an evangelical service, or if you think about attempting to get people saved, quote unquote, there's a lot of what I'll say trash talking, right? We're no good, we're worthless, we're trapped in our sin, we're mired in our sinfulness and our brokenness. We have no value, but then Jesus died for us anyway, and then we have value. What's interesting about that is that it sets people up for a bit of a bait and switch, right? So here's what I mean. Hey, listen, pretend you're in a service, right? Someone, some pastor type is like, hey, you out there who's not a Christian, you're gross. In fact, one mega pastor out west once said that God, if you're not a Christian, God hates you, and that's biblical and whatever. Anyway, right? So you're in the service, and the guy or the lady is like, my guess is it's a white guy, but anyway, is like, hey, you're nothing, and you're dirty, and you're stained, and it's gross. But it's okay. Jesus will take you just that way, and he'll make you something different. And so it's like, whoa, I didn't have any worth, and now I do. And then what's interesting, though, is for the moment you pray that prayer, there's a lot of work to maintain your worth, right? Because if you're not careful, you're going to fall back into bad behaviors, and you're going to lose potentially that thing that you just prayed to get. So like you say, Jesus, come into my heart, but then all of a sudden, if you don't live a certain way, he's going to move out of your heart, and then it's going to get dirty again. And that's weird, because can he come back in? And it's just a big mess. What if we just believed that we have worth because God made us? And what if we understood Christ's first advent as immediately being a bit of a ratification of our value? Why would he come to be among us otherwise, right? What if it wasn't primarily because we were so gross, but primarily because we were so precious? Now, let me be clear. All of us do things that are bad, that contradict the nature of God and contradict what has across millennia become accepted morality in the world today. It's just interesting to me what we do to people, the effect the things we say to them has on them. Think about it. Wouldn't it be ironic if you experience this outside the context of a Christian home or a Christian community, that from your earliest memories, what you were told is that you had value, right? Not that you could potentially have value if you did this thing or prayed this prayer or cut your hair or turned the TV off or, right, worshipped on a particular day, whatever. What if it wasn't predicated upon a thing? What if just from the moment, even before you could retain it, people just poured into you this sense of your inherent worth? Not to say that you wouldn't be taught like how to use a fork or how to employ manners. And it's ridiculous, right? Because one of the main arguments against what I'm saying is that people will then descend into this sort of lawlessness. And I think that's kind of silly, right? So I guess what I'm really saying is, whatever work looks like for you, however your performance is going at work, whatever your home life looks like, whatever people have said to you, I guess what I'd want to say to you is, man, you have value. You're really worth something. I don't know what you've done. I don't know what you did today. I know what you did last summer. I'm just kidding. I don't. But you have value. Man, if you need to hear it, please hear it. You have value. You are worth so much. Psalm 118. 19 through 24. Open for me the gates of righteousness. I will enter them. I will offer thanks to the Lord. This is the gate of the Lord. He who is righteous may enter. I will give thanks to you, for you answered me and have become my salvation. The same stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. On this day the Lord has acted. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If I may take one of those verses and alter it a bit, you are the Lord's doing, and you are marvelous in his eyes. I pray that you would hear that tonight and maybe even believe it. And I pray too that you would have peaceful rest and sweet dreams.